There we go. It's happening on Skype. And then I'm also going to be recording it on my computer just for backup. All right, so can everybody still hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
So with that, if you guys don't mind meeting, I'll get things going.
Perfect.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first ever Performance Anxiety reading event. Performance Anxiety is an online reading series hosted via Skype that takes place on the third Thursday of every month at 8 p.m. U.S. Central Time. At each of our events, we hope to feature 10 different readers who will each have up to 5 minutes to share a selection of their writing with us. The internet and time zones being what they are, Performance Anxiety will feature not only live readers, but also folks who've taken the time to share recordings of their work with us that will in turn play back for you. So my name's Tom Snarsky, and I'm happy to be one of the co-organizers of Performance Anxiety. If you'd be interested in reading at a future event, you're welcome to get in touch with me on Twitter at Tom Snarsky, TomSnarsky, or via email with that same spelling, tomsnarsky@gmail.com. So yeah, without any further ado, I'd like to introduce the other principal co-organizer of Performance Anxiety, who started Performance Anxiety with a tweet, trying to establish an online reading series that would happen monthly to get things going and get poets sharing their work with one another. So Kristin Garth is a sonnet stalker and author of 8 books of poetry, including Shakespeare for Sociopaths, The Legend of the Weremare, Pink Plastic House, A Victorian Doll Housing Ceremony, and Candy Cigarette Woman Child Noir. Her sonnets have stocked pages of magazines like Glass, Yes, Luna Luna, Is Acoustic, 521, and many more. Please join me in welcoming Kristin Garth. Take it away, Kristin.
Okay, I'm going to read 2 sonnets that are from my forthcoming book, Flutter, Southern Gothic Fever Dream, that's coming out from Twisted Press next year in January. And they're called Trialabra and Death Recipe. And here's Trialabra. Trialabra, was it attenuating just to be a Trialabra whimsically, there above a horned pale head, ebony aphid eyes when he says, beware these woods, decapitated deer, who wilt their budding heads this time of year. He speaks of trample by flowered herd, with gilt of lips, a lilt of hummingbird. Your cheek he touches, first will sting, a blush of flesh molested, tingling while he's twinkling, lit by candled pine. You'll query its express design, perfection, maybe counterfeit, illuminates this tete-a-tete, decreed innocent as seeds, or were you deceived? And Death Recipe is the second one. Death Recipe, denude the bushes after dark, each pink azalea plucked because of one remark. Rhododendrons could kill honeybees. Think details, death recipes on your knees. Stark foliage fingers disgrace, frail flowers you bury in a pillowcase. Not waste, exchange bloom for doom, demonic powers purloined while he would consume. Taste of nectar on a neck. Remove all clothes to be circumspect. Pestle pistols you will granulate mauve, a poultice rose on lustrous skin, resolved. Late desire to avenge a murder of your only kin. Poison offering you will make of skin. And I have 2 more sonnets, one that's not from a book. It's from Go City Review, just published it recently, and it's just a coffee house rant I had at a bagel shop recently, and it's called Woman Carbs Redacted. 5 rich old men cry over sex crime behind me while I wait with earbuds out to hear my coffee called. So long this time I hear details, a ruined career. Shouts stand out inside a crowded bagel shop. I hop up, rather wait beside the bar than hear them, teary-eyed, pontificate about the consequences, as if they are just random acts of fate that happen to a puppet or a saint. I don't know what he exactly did, but know there's a woman who has been redacted from this tale. I shut them out, earbuds. Some woman smells my bread. I can't eat it. resounds inside my head. And finally, my last one is from another book of mine that's coming out next year from RK Artist. It's called Dewey Decimals, and it's about my sexual awakening through books in the library. And this poem is called Flower in Your Attic. For V.C. Andrews and my mother. The plain are paranoid of pretty things, not pastel kitchens, wedding rings, but what begins, pink skin, inside a pious womb, then flings libidinous limbs in living rooms. Smut inside dark irises, omnipotent as even his, lewd lord of Foxworth Hall, who craves betrayal, Dresden dolls. He's meant to suffer, girls will pay. Life, after all, never really looks away. You're well aware of blossom breast, honeysuckle hair hides sly one doe-eyed request. Walk me upstairs to whips where unmarred skin is sanctified. You made a petaled thing he would adore, deflower me behind locked attic doors.
All right. Thank you so much, Kristin. That was beautiful. So if you'd be interested in learning more about Kristin's work, Kristin is available on Twitter at Lola and Jolie, LOLAANDJOLIE. And as co-organizer, Kristin, you'd accept invitations or people soliciting to try to read in the series.
Oh, of course, right? Yes.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, and also, if you want to find other of Kristin's work besides these sonnets, you can find some of her work and books at Kristin Garth, KristinGarth.com. So that's going to kick us off. So we're going to move things right along with our next reader, who I'm privileged to introduce, who is Ingrid M Collins. So Ingrid M. Collins is an immigrant from El Salvador. She is the author of 4 volumes of poetry, Things Outside, Wayward, Zenith, and Ablution. Ingrid lives in historic Filipino town, California, with her husband, the painter and poet John Collins. So thanks so much for joining us, Ingrid. Take it away.
Thank you. So I wrote 30 poems during National Poetry Month, and my husband made a zine for me. And I will be reading from that zine right now. This one's called Don't Surrender, and it was poem number 11. I dreamt of your heart last night, how it sat outside your chest, drenched, heavy, exotic. I dreamt of how my jaw cracks when I open my mouth to sing. I hummed as you hovered from room to room, serpent jaw devouring your smile. Your chest exploded as we spoke. It couldn't fathom being calm. Your denim jacket bloodied, your face flushed with arousal. I crushed the struggle from your laugh lines. They crumpled, overwhelmed, now molten in my hands. A lot of my muses for this particular collection were love, like always, and my mother and my siblings, because there's some complications to be had there. The next one was published on Royal Rose magazine on May 6th, and it's called Walking the Garden of Men's Desires, and it's poem number 12. I'm tired of writing poems about my pussy, I tell him. He nods, not in agreement, but in understanding, meaning he hears me. He's paying attention to my words. He knows I'm about to go off. I'm about to explode all over him. Let him hear what my brain can't contain. What is this reclaiming I keep hearing about? What should I reclaim? I ask him. He smiles. Nothing. You're perfect. Bless him for loving deep and unabashedly. Bless him for loving me like I love him, deep and unabashedly. I want to learn where I've hidden this prowess. Where is it? Did I ever have it? Am I a victim of thievery? Did someone steal it? Did someone pluck out my jewel? Was I asleep? Where is it? I try to seduce myself into hypnosis by eating a whole bag of chocolate-covered pretzels while watching a woman who weighs 90 pounds devour 4 burgers, fries, onion rings and a cherry Coke on the internets. This is America. I must have lost it here, right? In America? I had to have. I look at my hands and wondered if I had rubbed it gone. I had rubbed myself so much I wondered if I had corroded it, eroded it, deteriorated it, corrupted it, rotted it. But no, I could still feel it, mostly when I woke in the morning, or after 3 drinks inside dark bars. After writing a poem, yes, after writing a poem about my pussy, that's when I felt it. When I held my warmth in my hands, when I remembered how cruel others had been to it. And when I say others, I mean me. I mean me. I mean me. It was there on my fingertips and on the corners of his mouth. This next one is about my mother. God bless her. It's called One. It's poem number 18. One phone call and one late night binge doesn't solve the fuming. It swells the skin and breathes the night in. One celebratory hug and one missed phone call doesn't medicate. It sedates me into a toss and turn. One understanding and one birthday doesn't hammer the nail. It doesn't build a house. It purifies like baths do, temporarily. One concerned look and one rude assumption doesn't implicate love, it masticates it. It shivers in the passion of neglect and hopes you won't abandon it. One peaceful bloated afternoon, a lemonade, a hot kitchen, salted rim kiss shudder, statue cold delivery of love. I shake you till your ice breaks. I melt you with my heat. You laugh and celebrate your smile, while mine is bittersweet. Thank you. That's all I got for today.
Thank you so much, Ingrid. It's really exciting as MC to just get to be around while all this amazing poetry is happening. So if you want to learn more about Ingrid's work, you can find it at her website, which is notesofadyrtyyoungwoman.com. And she's also findable on Twitter at Bruja Lamatepec, which is BRUJALAMATEPEC. So thank you again, Ingrid. And I'd like to transition immediately to introduce our next reader, Mila Blust. Mila Blust's work has appeared in the Bitter Oleander, the Nassau Review, Rust and Moth, the Sierra Nevada Review, Rhythm and Bones, and more. Her debut poetry collection, Skeleton Parade, is forthcoming with APEP Publications in 2019. She's also the social media, coordinator or manager for Animal Heart Press. So thank you, Mila, and take it away.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate it. So I have 4 poems. The first one is not part of a collection. It was published in the 30-year anniversary of the Sierra Nevada Review. It's called Rattle. I gather this eroding bone dust and pour it in front of my feet, that I have a path to walk on, as I've always seen blackness where the ground should be. How it all fell away the first time the razor split my skin and the red trickled out. How something so tied to losing life could make me feel so alive. Once I got into my car and drove to work where white shirts walked around with scissors, cutting words from my tongue. And when I left, there was a dead baby mouse on the passenger seat. Buckle up, I said. I had held death before. My first husband watched pay-per-view while it poured from between my legs in a hotel bathtub, twice in 1 year. I could have picked names, but instead they were just blood. Goodbye, I said. Death found me here a lifetime later, told me his name and how lonely it was, but of course I knew, and I held him close. I love you, I said. Each way in which the pain and darkness of death touched my life seemed so graceful. Ink black vultures roosting in the winter pines above my house. The dance of waiting. Last week, sun glinted off the pavement as I drove my little girl to school. There was a dead baby deer in the road, a symphony of vultures picking it apart. As my car rattled toward them, they scattered, one just above us, right above the windshield, 9-foot wingspan, gliding in a silent union with my car, bloody face. How he recognized me through the glass. The next one, I actually have 3 poems that are from my debut collection, which is coming up with APEP Publications. This first one is called Song of Winter. Let me tell you how I held you in my mouth, one crushed petal of a whole flower in a parlor decorated with sorrow. Let me show you the ways in which womanhood manifests so that sometimes we can't tell if we're infatuated or held captive. Let me sing you a song of winter coats with the lining eaten by mice, souls worn thin, a song of toothaches ignored for bread, a song of gunshots and bruises, of chewing with my mouth closed lest I make a sound, a song of apples rotting on the counter while I bleed in the woodshed. This next one is called Yes, Girls. In steel country, in coal country, Daddy drove a truck and Mama prayed. Good girls laid on our backs, we crushed our wings. We let the machete of a slick man's voice clear cut the thicket of our wombs. We let the wet, slick cries of a hungry thing slowly drain the fire from our marrow. When we're in the throes, we're yes girls. Hitched up counter height now in a fuck me skirt, whispering God's plan to silence the tempest metastasizing in my Barbie doll heart. How many Hail Marys before the grunting stops? Oil-stained fingers circling where the wings used to be. Whiskey breath, the dirge of hollow childhood dreams, blood blooming down my thighs, bruises are the new black. When we're in the throes, we're yes girls. And this last one was published in Anti-Heroin Chic. It's called Fairy Tales. Does the king of birds always love a girl made of glass? Slamming into her invisible wall 1,000 times before blinking marrow tears and flying away. The praying mantis fucks whichever boy she wants, rips his head off and eats it after she's satiated. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mila. Thank you in particular for the lines. I could have picked names, but instead they were just blood. It's going to be with me for a minute. So, yeah, without any lost time, we're going to move to our next reader, who is Angelo Colavita. So Angelo Colavita is a nihilist and poet living and writing in Philadelphia. He's the author of 2 chapbooks, Flower Sonnets from 2018 and Heroines from 2017, with work appearing in Mookie Chick, Pro Lit, Metatron, Dream Pop, Luna Luna, Yes Poetry, and elsewhere. Go ahead, Angelo. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to read a few short poems from a series of ekphrastic poems I've been writing. And they're all the titles are the same as the art that they're named after. So you could just Google them if you want to look at the artists. This is Sisters for Jason Blake. Together heads in shadow shrouded, sisters shudder. Share a prayer to gesture, holy hands dance the ladder. Lattice of fingers laced with string, silent sing with hymns of open pages staff the unwritten. Muted, soft exposed, figures fastened, captive, past the time. This next one is Coup de Grace for Darla Jackson. She stands tall and bares her heart, claws her breast. Her face, its grace compares to prayers, to hymns of wake, eyes to light, heavy legs to bear the weight of pain, of being alive, cast from clay, of earth, and soon back to it. Our Darkest Hour for Rebecca Reeves. A silent eye peering, puerile white. Sight, side, Our porcelain bride hides inside a cocoon, webbed, wedded, a dreaded thread wound around the wounded. Harkest our darkest hour, our widow bound in black tack, beaded. Obsidian cloud surrounds foundling, a moon soon nearing. This is Conductor for Paul Romano. Flower from flowering, gesture of pain, being that which carries and often offering writ, the wrist it ends, extends from copper black to copper bright, across the break of breath. What spake or sung, conducted through a blooming hue of pastel, open from opening, limb from limb. At last, her talons clasp, stands passive the passerine. Next one's for Jeremy Hush. It's called Falling Tower. In parts, a cathedral, a pointed arch, a buttress breaks. Rosetta Crow appointed over apse and wasp over procession of. Animal masks animal, gathering in growing grass. Soft brush, soft as water. What remains holy in the hands of heaven, of cloud. And I think this is going to be the last one. It's called Simulacrum for Alex Ekman Lawn. Sky gold stria climb behind the spires. Hangs a crescent, holy our moon in heaven. A descent waning as wanting hands want to open, hold each other. Time and keep, a promise passing within a void. Beneath, behind layers of brick and tissue, stone and bone, two together, almost the same, almost human, a memory won't open. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angela. That was wonderful. And before Angela, you guys heard Mila Blust, who I forgot to mention you can find on Twitter at Mila Blust, MELABLUST. And then for that same spelling, if you want to find some of her other work, milablust.com. And you just heard the poetry of Angelo Colavita, whose work you can find at angelocolavita.com, ANGELOCOLAVITA.com, and then on Twitter and Instagram at Angelo Colavita with the same spelling. So thank you all. And also a just general shout out to how amazing our readers are doing tonight, keeping to their 5-minute slots, because that is just a wonderful gift for an MC. My job is so easy now. So I'd like to introduce our next reader, who's Effie Winter. Effie Winter is a poet and hereditary blood witch, also from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She's the author of Flowers of the Flesh from Rhythm and Bones Press in 2019, and also Blood Milk from Dancing Girl Press 2019. So Effie has published poetry in various literary journals and was nominated for a Pushcart Prize in 2018. She currently works as a contributing writer for Which Way magazine based in Nolens, Louisiana. Thanks, Effie. Go right ahead. Looking forward to hearing your poems.
I'm just going to read a few poems from my recent debut book, Flowers of the Flesh, and then a couple from my upcoming collection, Blood Milk. Amor de l'amour, I feed on our ritual of flesh, lashing, wilting rose, carrying our holy wounds, wet and wailing, you cry, pray the rosary into darkness. on sore knees, sultry hell. Amor, hold our always, a romantic's consecration, always for you, with legs spread, licked against offering, warm consummation, I bleed for a communion, your inflamed palms in worship of heart. Your heart, infection, leaching red flour and cream from my lips, petaled warm, holy as if you were heaven in the flesh, softening a sacrament, rose water for your tongue. A heart I am tied to with wet ribbon, ill silk writhing within soft cunt, an ovate gloss opening you pour inside, womb fluttering and fertile, a bed of flour and blood. Flesh flourishing rose velvet devotions, I am fed secretion from your fingertips, your floral hell, tongue within a holy chamber. All at once I respire as a gown of paradise, and in the sultry fire of my life I am yours, arching for a blood milk bathing, wilting beneath aching palm. I am yours with dark promise. Rose root and flesh pyre, always with romance, a blood pit, lust as carnal as a Suspiria of sex, cast into second circle inferno, our pain carving witchcraft, pulp red, rose de l'amour, a ritual of weeping. Sick for blood and milk mouth, you are red for my demonic ballet. I am slipping bondage silk into our clotted bath, raging through the blood milk reaping and devil clawing flesh to cut the sickness from the root. Your fist down my throat splits the overgrown wilted roses, the sallow chaplet womb crown. If your heart is sore, cradle the filth from my harvested wound cocoon. Inside your cum-soiled claws, carry my septic flesh, dead rosary heavy around your neck, a noose of sacrificed rot to pray with. Starved, I reclaim you like wet dirt, pregnant and exhausting corpse perfume. Flowering for your tongue, I am writhing inside a rosebed, candlelit, arching for our blood wedding, flesh to flesh, womb wilting. At the black mass, we anoint love with devil's spit, wither into the ninth circle. Aching our romantic rot, its punishing spit and warm soreness, always with withering, incessant crying, the fatigue of flesh and blood, rosy raw beneath the palm. I am half dead with the way you fuck, stomaching fainting fits, wounded and flushed. Atonement binds the blood of flesh to flower, inside your death, sanctified godlight, pouring within womb, the red garden. Godlight carries the leech and lamb into heaven, sacred hell. Angelus within the rosary, the roses, flowering from petaled palm, an omen harvesting fire, lustrating our saints with blood. Amor of flesh, a flesh of hell, I taste flowers, fire. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to steal the phrase "your floral hell" for like a Rembo black metal band or something. That was awesome. So thank you very much. And if you'd like to find some more of, if you'd like to find some more of Effie's work, you can find it not only on Twitter at Fleurwomb, so FLEURWOMB, or at her site effiewinter.com. As she mentioned, the new book, Flowers of the Flesh, is out now from Rhythm and Bones, brand spanking new. So thank you again for sharing those poems, Effie. And I'd like to move on to introduce the next reader, Tucker Lieberman. So Tucker Lieberman's poems have recently appeared in Asses of Parnassus, Déraciné, Aesthetic Apostle, Fruit Tree. That's the duck timer that Effie deeply respected and therefore did not need to be on for that extra minute. So let's start again with Tucker's biography. So Tucker Lieberman's poems have recently appeared in Asses of Parnassus, Déraciné, Aesthetic Apostle, Fruit Tree, Neologism, Oddball, and Prometheus Dreaming. He edits for Iascala, which has a focus on mental health. His prose is in a number of anthologies, and he wrote a book on eunuch villain characters in novels. He and his husband live in Bogota, Colombia. Please welcome Tucker Lieberman. Tucker, thank you. Take it away.
Thank you, Tom. It's a pleasure to be here. I've got 3 poems to share with you all tonight. The first is called Purpose. It was published in Prometheus Dreaming. You hatch in the water, but you are not that. This migration, to deserve to belong. The more you try, the same it means, the deeper it settles. You cast a net, clearing space for yourself, though all fish belong to the sea. The feeling of movement is the reason. The feeling of movement, the tension between your island and that ocean, that is where you are, where you must jump. The gulf between you and them, the space that's never filled, but with the skim of scales, that is who you are. You are what you try to catch. You are what slips by unsnared. You are the wave that snaps the net. You are water unmarked by cords. Listen to the bellowing whales, ride the tides that buoy you. Cast nets, clear space. Ignore names to which you won't answer. Little fish, big ocean. Your luminous dance that's not swimming, how do you call it? Your movement, your belonging. Go now, go. You are what you try to catch. The movement is the reason. You hatch, but you aren't what wiggles. You are water unmarked, settling deeper. The second poem I'll read for you is called Summer, Autumn. It was published in Rockvale Review. Memory dissolves its membrane, hatches, becomes river, trauma of not forgetting, drunkenness of sleep, memory being the water, the dream. Rain falls in the forest. The caterpillar eats the edges of the leaf, the edges of the page burn fast, transformative hunger moving, bare, bone, blood, to seize the wild within. Too fast, the recall, you miss both micron and mass, fly and tornado, one sentence on another's lips that tells you who you are, the great wind and what it blows. This is that autumn already. Trees bleed out purple veins. Stalks go yellow in the mud. Memory was the water, the what? The unforgettable trauma, the river, the flaming word. This winter, let the tale be bourbon, blood. And the final poem I'll read for you is called Rededication. It was published in The Fruit Tree. This day, I rededicate all that is shining, all that was formerly shining and has dimmed, all diamonds in the rough that have capacity to be changed and learn to shine, every place that has refracted into rainbows, every place that is lights off for making out, or that is just dark enough to fall asleep. You may help rededicate it. When it is done, you are invited there. I wish for you health, joy, success, calm. I send you meaningful tarot readings, unexpected insight, reserves of courage, phone calls with great news, memorable films, craft fairs, visions, discernment, and open mind, bonfires of old things that do not serve, coffee at sunrise, warm red socks, Mithraic mysteries of sacrifice, dreams that recall truth, sweaty exercise, music with bells. I usher in a savior who comes to your door and to whom you can gently say that you can save yourself, thank you very much, but that you would love conversation over tea. That is a friend. I will into being. Fiat cat, a feline who sits on your lap and understands you. There are prizes you've wanted. That jackpot. Imagine if you win tonight's lottery, if the cash doesn't fit in your fridge, you could buy a Ferrari or two, drive to the beach, bring little sandwiches with the crusts cut off. But you could cut off the crusts without winning the lottery. And what else would make the day beautiful for you? Practicing guitar, visits and hugs, realizing there is sunshine even in winter, pasta and pudding, comfortable shoes, a meditation that feels right, artistic insight, pine cones with seeds that have flown. Better than waiting for a jackpot, pick a number for breath, hope, clarity. See what is already here and has been shining all along. Accept it, rededicate it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Tucker. That was wonderful. As MC, you just get to sit back and enjoy phrases like "the movement is the reason," or "to seize the wild within," or "just dark enough to fall asleep," which dangerously this reading series is just dark enough, to fall asleep. So if you'd like to find more of Tucker's work, you can find him at Tucker Lieberman, TuckerLieberman on Twitter. And he's also created a mostly blank journal specially designed for people to scribble out their trauma. It's called Flip the Finger at Despair, and you can find it at tuckerlieberman.com. So this is a bit of a transition moment because in keeping with our name, Performance Anxiety, in addition, as you heard in the beginning, to featuring live readers, we'll also feature recordings of poets who can't make it to read live for whatever reason. So our reading is at 8 p.m. Central U.S. time, which means UK poets are staying up burning the midnight oil if they want to participate live and in person here. So we do have a few poets from the UK and also from the US who are going to share some recordings with us tonight, and I'll introduce the first one here, and I'll trust my handy-dandy fellow readers to let me know if for any reason the audio playback doesn't work. So our first reader is Alex Smith, who recorded a beautiful reading in his garden. So with a foot firmly each side of the Irish Sea, Alex Smith was raised in troubled Northern Ireland during the 80s. Educated in English and Spanish, his work has taken him to some of the most socially deprived schools in England. His stark poetry has been published in Twickenham Notes, Tammy, Barron Magazine, Bonnie's Crew, Abstract Contemporary Expressions, Ink and Voices, and OK Donkey. He edits at ABC Tales and can be found struggling with bar chords. So here is a recording I hope to successfully play for you from Alex Smith.
Hello, I'm Alex Smith, Alex Calling 79, and welcome to a garden in the south of England in the piss and rain. I just want to say thank you for this lovely safe space that we've got tonight for people to be able to read. I don't know about you lot, but I am shit scared. So it's lovely that we are talking about things like performance anxiety, but that we have somewhere that we can actually share that is going to be safe and it's going to be lovely. So I'm just going to read a few bits from my book, which is really weird to hold this in. And hopefully, just let me know what you think. Hopefully you enjoy them. Oh, fuck, I'm not doing that one. Okay. This one's called From Sleeved Honored. It came out a few years ago in Twickenham Notes, and it's some free advertising there. It's a poem about just mountains. Mountains are brilliant, and those fuckers have seen everything. So, From Sleeved Honored. Out here in the Highlands, the poorest earth, at the end of learning, the soil eats itself, snug in its rot, and the raven's nest unruffled by the winds. But you yell at the hills, scream your surrender, knowing your knowing means nothing to them. The mute mourn gods, salt-worn and waiting. You know too late of the slow, deliberate uncoupling of yesterday. This sea is parched, so empty your lungs. Pour your little years into its depths. Too late the call. Leave yourself mute, spent, because the granite arm of the untamed bay, soporific in its beauty, wilder than your worst, knows the wind song of each tor and drumlin. Out here, you can see your ancestors. Their broad backs clung to the trees, to the rock, the land, the sea, and the same sad ideals, strong and fickle as the same wind, comfortable in the same close circles, as warm and small as nests. This one's called Testament. Slightly different. It was as if you'd been behind me all the time. I circled the kitchen, knife in hand, waited, but you left as the wind went, escaped the heavy room, left drops, your beads of sweat on frosted glass. I felt paper, stretched and taut, had sagged and fallen through me, had unwoven line by line. I wrote this as testament to the thinness of that moment. It was a November day you dripped from her. The sky twisted grey life around itself, and through the ground you lay in, we tilled and burrowed the clots of you into the thirsty earth. In better times, a telepathy of starlings circle, and I can only taste the salt of leather while I watch autumn undress. I'm frozen, waiting here for a glimpse of the wind to close the circles of ourselves. How much time have I got? Oh, bloody hell. Right. I'll probably do two more. This one is Labyrinth. From it, a few of the lines that form the sort of the basis of this book called I Dreamt I Wrote Another Me. And it's just that whole idea, which you sort of steal, completely stolen from Jorge Luis Borges, that, well, I'm not telling you, you're all bloody poets. I dreamt I wrote another me, in lucid sleep, the sands of memory. Skin shed and sloughed off droves, I awoke from sinful mendacity. I dreamt of a cell and the word of a god. Stone divided the beast from me. Through the bars of ink and curtains sleep, the blank page could but hint at knotted oaks and hungry suns. Every word inferred infinity. In these dreams, you were no more Borges than me, and we were all blind, Homer, when we parted our lips and filled our pens to open 7 seals and tell 7 tales distilled by time that fate has deigned, longer than the mountains and dead starlight, minus words for the infinite. I fell into your memory, blessed the stone walls that held me safe, and awoke, asleep, to dream again.
So that was just a small sampling of Alex Smith's work that he shared with us from his garden. So thanks to Alex for submitting that recording. And if you're interested in finding more of Alex's work, you can find him on Twitter at AlexCalling79, and his website is alexsmithpoetry.com. So again, thank you to Alex for sharing our first big recording in a beautiful video. And then our next recording is from Elfie, who is a writer and poet, mainly of LGBTQ+ and mental health themed works from Derbyshire, England. She's a Master of Arts in Publishing and dreams of owning her own press. Her debut poetry chapbook, Will You Still Love Me If I Love Her, was published this year. So I'll begin playing Elfie's reading for us in just a moment.
Hello, Alfie here. Thank you so much for having me. I really need to practice speaking because I'm really bad at it. So thank you for this opportunity. I'm going to be reading a couple of poems tonight, and I hope you like them. This first poem is from my chapbook, Will You Still Love Me If I Love Her, and it's called Mixed Fabric. Source me from the surface, shallow, the fibre of my being, immerse me in water, fool me, fix me. Am I ready now? Pick and pluck until my flesh and bones are bare and smooth, wrap me in linen, but do not let it touch my skin. My blood cannot soak, it won't stain and stick, become fixed. I won't, you should not assemble me from more than one, no. This vein is thicker than the others. You're making me wrong, and stitch me, or they will. I just want to look like them. Where is your apology for making me this way? And my second poem is one that I've written recently for an upcoming chapbook that I have yet to figure out. It's called These Are Not Knives in Our Hands. A circle of survivors feeling more like leftovers, the cold and stale remains of a buffet ravaged by hungry mouths and impatient hands, and oh, how they wanted to taste us all, but did not want to clean up the vomit that they turned our siblings into. We were scraped into a pile and pushed into the dark because it is not pleasant to see the mess, yet they enjoyed our presence before when we were freshly cooked and touched before they sunk their teeth in and spat out what they could not stomach. The circle, because we know the jagged lines of knives, and we cannot be incomplete like a set of teeth allows the fall into darkness. We are the only support that we have now, but we still only know each other's names as listed on the menu. We sit in silence with so much to say, we do not feel entitled to speak, while they do not use their mouths to talk, they use their mouths to eat. This next one is called Spring's First Bloom, and I intend for it to be in my first ever full-length collection that I want to publish next year. I was born with roots wrapped around my wrists and stones embedded in my soles, with pierceable skin and breakable bones, with a place in which society said I belonged. I was raised with thorns shoved down my throat so my words were never heard, and screams scraped till blood dripped, and I learnt to stay a silent little bird. I was slapped with rose-petal palms and ruled by the rituals of the river, for one has to be appealing enough for the vultures to come for dinner. I was in high regard as spring's first bloom, rising from a small part of the woods, victim to novelty and naivety, victim of sacrificial love. I was ripped apart and passed around until my worth became reliant on how I could satisfy insatiable stomachs, obstructing the thirst for the hunt. I was abandoned in a bed of needles, as bare as the day I was born, waiting for death to take me away, praying for the break of dawn. And the last poem that I'm going to read tonight is called Farewell, Old Friend. Old tracks, a spine of splinters, wild girls and tied hands with domesticated vines, signs. A frail mind in rough hands, we were made of iron and bitten fingernails. A light, a blaze in my veins, sweaty palms and bricks of dark alleyways, flames, fueled by feuds and fucks. You had my back, my love, let me take the blame. Split, we cannot return home, home, we are not a home for each other. Smother, smoke and broke, we were made of rust and wrists and nothing else. Okay, there we go. I can breathe again. Thank you so much for including me in this and for listening to my poetry. I hope it wasn't too awful. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, and likewise, thank you to Effie for submitting that wonderful recording. And if you'd like to find more of, sorry, not Effie, who I was already read, but Elfie. Elfie, who could be found on Twitter at Elfie in Bloom, so at ELFIEINBLOOM, Elfie in Bloom. And her chapbook, Will You Still Love Me If I Love Her, was published this year. You can find it at elfieinbloom.co.uk. So there are other publications and info there as well. So our second to last reader is Hannah Storm. So Hannah will be sharing a recording with us. And after 20 years as a journalist, Hannah has finally started writing for herself. She's been published in Atticus Review, Rhythm and Bones, Ellipsis, Spelk, and others. Her poetry is a way to process her past. So I'll begin playing Hannah's recording. She has 2 poems to share with us tonight.
It's history, not his story. When I chose to tell my story, I chose to reclaim some of the power he stole from me. Without his name, I am saying this is history, not his story. This is my story, how I navigate the shame, find a place where I can speak, where I am not to blame for his choice to hurt me. Here I can face my fears. Don't you know how raw it is after all these years, how I worry what he might still do? And will others say, you were so naive to believe, to trust him? Why did you let him treat you that way? What did you think when you said yes to that drink, went to that place, wore that dress? Didn't you guess the rest? Why didn't you just say no? The next train to arrive on platform 2 will be the 1300 to Manchester Piccadilly. I've left my mate with a masking tape, your parting shot, and you're off to stop his sellotape shadow unravelling, not me. Goodbye, darling. A starling throws itself from the platform to the track. I try to shout stop, but you both disappear. Breath held instead until the bird returns, beak bearing gifts for its young, not you. You're gone before I can say, listen, it's me that has to leave. Listen. The next train to arrive on platform 2 will be the 1300 to Manchester Piccadilly, calling at, it's still too far away to see the new arrival blurred by sunlight high. I squint, shadows split the station's eaves, me beneath, platformed between light and shade, an atlas holding up the sky. Speaking our minds. What if weakness was strength, and we could speak of our pain like we talk of our headaches or colds without shame? If it was okay to admit we were finding things tough and that we didn't have to be good, just good enough? What if for one Instagram we tore off our capes, stopped comparing, contrasting, the filters, the fakes? If we could accept that tomorrow could bring light to today and go to bed knowing we won't fade away. No night would bring rest, not a war zone of worries, the worst ofs and what ifs and what did I do, the horror of loss and the terror of you. What if morning came to us, our eyes open wide? Not the hungover blur of a brain sleep deprived, not a wanting to run from it all, to run and to hide. What if we could press pause and speak our mind, rewind our fears and our shame, hear the familiar voices of friends we've not met, who share the exact feeling of something so singular, something the same? What if that personal moment of sharing our pain became the instant we realized we'd never again feel so lost and so lonely? What if that was all that was needed to keep people safe and secure? If only, what if meant this and no more?
All right, those poems were from Hannah Storm, who submitted them as recordings to us to share with you. Her Twitter handle is at Hannah, HANNAH, Storm, STORM 6. So if you'd like to find more work by her, you can find it there. So we are almost at the end of our first performance anxiety reading. I'd like to introduce our last reader who shared a few poems with us via recording, Juliet Seebach. Juliet Seebach is the author of Mistakes Were Made and has work forthcoming or appearing in a wide variety of publications. When she isn't writing, and sometimes when she is, she can be found with a cup of coffee and her cat Fitz. Juliet can be reached on her website or across social media that I'll share with you after these wonderful poems. So Juliet Seebach.
Noli me tangere, in response to Thomas Wyatt's Whoso lists to hunt. Oh, sir, dreaming of that hunt, that ride, your prey, your prize has good reason to hide. Surely your deer flees, for she is already claimed, but would she be a doe that is not to be tamed? To touch, to kiss, perchance to love? No, never love, for Caesar's I am. Jewels and bruises round her neck stake his claim. She dare not speak the truth, for mine I am. Caesar may collar me, chain me, claim me, but I will not be his as he wishes, for duty to him is eclipsed by my duty to mine and myself, then my king. Dear she may be, but a deer she is not. not tender-footed, nibbling fresh green grass. She is wild to hold and not to be caught, cunning and ruthless when necessary. She may seem docile, but she is no doe. She is powerful and threatens all you know. I believe. I say it as an affirmation, stepping from the train tracks to take in a new city, Christmas just a far-off spot on the horizon. I believe. I believe in magic. I believe that wishing for something might just bring it into being. I believe that you can bring goodness into your life just by believing that you can. I believe in love. I believe in love at first sight, in lifelong loves, in soulmates, soup snakes. I believe in life after love. I believe that all will be forgiven, or at least forgotten, too far past to hold a grudge against. I believe that your dreams and visions and hopes and goals can come true with a bit of hard work and pixie dust. I believe. I believe. I believe. Fur baby. I once blocked a girl on Facebook who said, in a conversation entirely separate from me, that she didn't understand why someone would give up a relationship if their partner asked them to get rid of their pet. I told myself I didn't want that kind of negativity, even just in my digital life. In that same thread, someone agreed and complained about people who call their animals their children instead of their pets, as if what someone else says in this context really has an effect on her life, as if these people are truly delusional and believe they've given birth to a fluffy four-pawed fur baby. There's an episode of Modern Family in which Cam and Mitch don't get a baby, but Larry the cat. And Mitch comments that Cam is cramming Larry into a child-shaped hole in his heart. And maybe that's where the word fur baby comes in, saving the day and giving you something to love when there's nothing else. To attempt to make me believe that I am going insane. Merriam-Webster defines gaslight, transitive verb, as by subjecting that person to a series of experiences that have no rational explanation. And the definition reads eerie, like one of Freud's dolls, Gaiman's black button eyes. I redefined gaslight by analogy, uncanny reality, to hear the pounding in his chest while he tells you it doesn't tick, as all the while you slip deeper till you drown in the globe in the anatomy of a gaslight. Revitalized. The walk was dangerous, even crazy, but I needed to absorb the energy whipping in the wind. It didn't rain non-stop, but in bursts of buckets pouring off my skin. Then the bucket would drop down into the well of the earth again. My shoes, feet, legs were coated in mud like the antithesis of rolling out pie crust. I told myself it was okay to cry between strikes of light sparkling the sky, but when I tried, I found only coins pressed against the whites of my eyes.
All right, that beautifully was Juliet Seebach, rounding out our readers for this evening. Juliet can be found on Twitter at Juliet Seebock, JulietSeebock. And with the same spelling, you can find her work at julietseebock.com. She's also the editor-in-chief and founder of Nightingale and Sparrow, the press and mag you can find at nightingaleandsparrow.com. So with that, we've actually reached our last reader for the evening for our inaugural Performance Anxiety reading event. So just a quick note before we wrap things up, recordings of all Performance Anxiety readings will be available to be shared freely, including this one. So this file is available to everybody who's in this Skype call, all our readers who are joining us live, but it's also available from me or from Kristin upon request if you want to get in touch with us via email or Twitter. We'll also tweet a link to it right after this as soon as I can get it uploaded. So I just am going to take the liberty of sharing with you the last page of Sandbook by Ariana Rines because it's very short. It says, and it's also in front of me, it says, everything has a nature, find out yours. We hope that you will do that with us next time. Our next reading will be July 18th, 2019 at 8 p.m. Central. Thank you so much to our readers. Thank you guys for listening and have a fantastic night. Cheers. Yeah, this is great.